Am I the a-hole for suggesting to my friend that she should shave? My 29F friend, let's call her Emily, 32F, is an amazing person. She's fun, adventurous, intelligent, super active, a fantastic cook, outgoing, and just a great girl to be around. A few years ago, she decided not to shave anymore, legs, armpits, female areas, out of protest to the patriarchy, resulting in her having very long dark hair everywhere. A few days ago, we were having a beer and she told me how sad her dating life was, that she kept meeting guys and having very fun dates but never got a call back, or when she tried asking for a second or third date, got rejected in a very generic manner. Now after telling her you're so gorgeous and wonderful, the right man will come, don't worry, multiple times, I decided to go out on a limb and said something along the lines of, I know this is a very superficial thing to say, but do you think it might help a little if you would shave? She was very taken aback and told me she was disappointed I would suggest she change her appearance for men, and that I was the reason so many women were suppressed. I immediately apologized, but the evening was pretty much ruined. I texted her the next day apologizing again for hurting her, but she hasn't replied. I really did not want to hurt her, but I also don't quite see how my comment was that bad, so I am not sure how to phrase my apology. So I decided to take it here and ask people how big of an a-hole I am. My husband wants to explore his intimate options now that he's successful. Am I the a-hole for not wanting him to? My 40F husband, 41M, of 8 years, spent his 20s and early 30s building his business. Part of the reason why he turned to being an entrepreneur was he had a tough time holding down jobs, to the point having a business was the only way he could earn money. Either a supervisor was too dumb or controlling, or because my husband didn't have the degree or experience required for the jobs he could tolerate, or the hours at the jobs he had were horrible. I understand his struggles with all those reasons, and when we started dating 14 years ago, I was the primary breadwinner simply by nature of the fact that I had a steady source of employment. My husband told me that I was only the second serious girlfriend he ever had. He did have a few hookups here and there before we met, but mostly with women much older than him that never went beyond one-night stands. When we started dating, he was the one always actively trying to pursue me and telling me how lucky he was to have me, saying I was worth the world because unlike other New Yorkers, I noticed the invisible people. Flash forward nearly a decade and a half and now we are married with 2 daughters, 8 and 5. Things started working out for us around age 35 and I've never been anything but supportive. I quit my job to take care of our kids after he moved us to a nice Connecticut suburb. But these past few years he's been treating me differently, like me and our daughters are just a source of annoyance. He's a part of a bunch of professional organizations and his own company loves a good party, but I am increasingly not his date to any of them. When I am alone with him, he at least talks to me, but if a beautiful girl joins the group, it's game over for me, and I'm excluded from his social interactions from that point forward. He talks to people within earshot about how beautiful this or that woman is. He tells me he's allowed to find other girls pretty. The final straw was during a company family thing. When my daughters and I arrived, my husband ignored us until somebody said hi to us. Then he waved his hand at us like he was bashful of our presence and dismissing us. In addition, the way his younger employees acted towards me made me suspect he was lying when he said he was going to these things without a date. Now we are in therapy and my husband is saying that he wanted 2 years of a test open marriage where he could explore intimately in a way he was never able to in his 20s. He says while I had the chance to play around when I was young and attractive, and other guys that weren't him did, he never could. I told him this is not what we signed up for, and that I didn't think it was the charitable thing for a wife to do. He accused me of liking the lifestyle he provides and said to go carve out my own life instead of complaining. I told him if he has intimacy it has to be with me, or I'm leaving. Am I the a-hole and not understanding his struggle?
Am I the a-hole for donating my deceased daughter's college fund to a charity instead of giving it to my estranged son? I, 48M, lost my daughter, 21F, last year to a rare medical condition. She was in college, and we had saved up a substantial amount for her studies. The fund has around $120,000 left. My wife also passed away 5 years ago, so it's just been the two of us for a while. My son, 24M, and I have had a strained relationship for the past 6 years. He got into drugs, joined a problematic crowd, and committed several felonies. When he turned 18, after multiple attempts to help him, I had to kick him out of the house. It was the hardest decision I've ever made. Recently, he's cleaned up his act, or so he says. He says he's been off drugs for a year, has a job, and wants to go to college. He reached out to me, asking if he could use his sister's college fund. However, my daughter, in her last days, expressed a desire for the money to go to a specific charity that supports research into her condition. It was her wish, and I decided to honor it. I donated the entire fund to that charity 2 weeks ago. When I informed my son of this decision, he was livid. He claims that I've chosen a dead daughter over him and that I never cared about him at all. My relatives are divided. Some say I did the right thing honoring my daughter's last wish, while others believe I should have given my son another chance. I'm tormented. Am I the a-hole? Today I effed up by knocking a third grader's teeth out. I work as a camp counselor for the YMCA, and every group leader has a walkie-talkie so we can talk to other group leaders to know where everyone is at, etc. Of course, the radio I was given had a broken antenna, but I had no clue. It easily would just pull off, but I hadn't touched it, so I didn't know that. Well, around lunchtime, this third grader named Hunter was standing about 6 feet away from me minding his own business when he looked at me and pretended to throw a baseball. I saw him do it and I turned into a batter's stance and swung my radio by the antenna as hard as I could, as if I was swinging a bat. Well, the radio flew off the antenna straight towards Hunter and knocked his 2 front teeth out. Not only did his teeth come out, but since it hit him square, they shot right down his throat. One of them he coughed up, but the other one went down all the way. I had to file an accident report and explain to my boss and Hunter's parents what happened. His mom was so angry and upset with me she almost wanted to press charges. His dad told me he wasn't too upset and that's one less tooth he has to buy back as the tooth fairy. All in all, it wasn't too bad, but I absolutely destroyed that kid's teeth, and I pissed off my boss and the kid's mom. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter boys aren't into her because she's fat? I, 44M, have been with Penelope, 39F, for the last 9 years. We each had a daughter prior to getting together. My daughter is Amanda, 17F, and hers is Daniela, 17F. When my wife and I first moved in together, we both decided that each of us would only discipline our respective daughters. For the past 5 years, Daniela has been eating a crazy amount of food. She's put on so much weight, 200 plus pounds, that she's borderline obese if not already obese. I had concerns that she had an eating disorder and suggested to my wife that she put her in therapy because this isn't healthy. However, my wife dismissed my concerns and told me she's a growing girl who needs to eat. The problem is she was also taking food that didn't belong to her. For example, I once bought a box of protein bars for myself only to find out later they were all gone before I had a chance to eat even one bar. Amanda's best friend gave her a piece of cake to bring home for her birthday, and that also disappeared. We later found out that Daniela had eaten them. The girls had so many fights because Daniela was taking food without asking. It got so bad that I had to get Amanda a mini fridge so that she could keep food for herself in her room. For the past couple of years, Amanda has been getting interest from boys. Daniela hasn't been getting as much. It's not because she's ugly, she has a pretty face, but combined with how unhealthy she is, it's not a surprise she doesn't get asked out often. Daniela doesn't take it too kindly. She's made a lot of passive-aggressive remarks about the boys in her class, like how they have crap taste in women and all men are losers. She's made many comments like that. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to encroach on my wife's boundary, but I should have honestly. Anyway, Amanda has had a crush on a boy for a while now and he recently asked her out. I was in the kitchen making a sandwich when she excitedly told me about it and where they were planning to go. I was obviously delighted for her. Daniela was in the living room watching TV. She overheard us and passed a comment, "Boys will go after any chick who opens their legs." I told her that's not a nice thing to say and asked her to apologize. She replied, "I'm not apologizing to this slut." I saw Amanda had tears running down her face. I just got so angry. I yelled at Daniela and said it's none of her business who Amanda dates and the only reason she isn't getting dates is because she's freaking fat. Daniela burst into tears and went to complain to her mom. That started a big argument, and I told her she needs to parent her daughter and tell her to keep her nasty remarks to herself. They ended up going to my mother-in-law's house to spend the night. When I talked to my sister, she said I should have handled the situation more delicately, since Daniela is still a child and clearly having self-esteem issues. However, I only said what I said to defend my daughter. So, am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for not supporting my sister in having a baby? My 32F sister Emma, 29F, has always wanted to have kids and be a stay-at-home mom. That's literally all she dreamed about, a big wedding, house, kids. I have a very different idea of life in the opposite direction, as in career and child-free. Let me be clear, I am not ditching her choice. Every person has right to their own choices. But I do not think forcing other people to bear the brunt of your choices is good. To get to the story, our parents spent a fortune on my sister's wedding. She got married around 5 years ago. They have trouble conceiving and have already gone through 2 sets of IVF. It is sad. Our parents don't have any money to help them and neither does brother-in-law's family. From what I know, they don't have savings, are renting and have not paid off their student loans. A few weeks ago, they asked if I could help them. I said no. They asked why. I just said my answer is no. I am sorry for them, but I won't give them money. They kept pushing about it, saying how I go on exotic vacations and own a house already. I do, I worked hard in college with full scholarship and immediately got a well-paying job. I lived within my means and saved up to buy my own house. It's not much, just a 2 BHK apartment, but to me it's great. I said my financial status is none of their business. If they want to have a family, they need to be able to afford it themselves, not ask me. My sister got mad at me saying I am refusing to help her because I hate children. I am punishing her for her choices. I said I am doing no such thing. She is entitled to her choices, but I am not obligated to fund her. She is really mad at me for not helping, and my parents are asking me as well. They are saying no matter my choices, I should support my sister since I can. I am still not on board since I believe only people who can afford kids should have them, and that I shouldn't have to pay for her choices. My sister, her husband and his family are calling me a-hole. So, am I the a-hole?